at least 80 or 90% of the grain products and processed food products that Americans consume contain genetically modified organisms. And so we don't know what the impacts of this may be. They may be trivial, they may be minor, which is what we're constantly assured of by the industries that have great financial interest in the production and consumption of these, what some have called, perhaps uncharitably, frankenfoods.
In November of 2012, hopefully on the ballot will be the first time in the United States to have a thing on the ballot that's a mandatory labeling for genetically modified foods. So if a product has a GMO in it, it will have to say on the label, this product has genetically modified foods in it. All over Europe it's already labeled. Even in Japan it's labeled. In Japan they stopped selling GM foods because once it got labeled, people didn't want to buy it. We don't know how genetically modified food will affect people. It's been just approved over the last 15 years or so. Studies show that it's actually really harmful to your body and really harmful to the earth. For example, I was just reading recently about an experiment. There's these farmers and they had this regular corn in their shed and they left it in there. The rats ate it up and they're like, oh well, our corn got eaten up. Then they had, in the other shed, they had some genetically modified corn. The rats didn't even eat it. They all died. And so we don't know if it's causing cancers yet. We don't know if it's causing what kind of allergies or what it's going to do to people. But I think it's really important for the American people, the Californians, to at least have it labeled on their packaging so we can make that choice.
Food in the United States generally is inexpensive, say, relative to other industrialized democracies of the global north, because its production is heavily subsidized by the federal government in the form of various iterations of farm bills. Fuel is underpriced. Water is underpriced. And so when something is underpriced, it's undervalued. But actually, given the cost of air pollution and its public health impacts, given the cost of water pollution, our food, therefore, we might conclude, is also undervalued.
Our industrial food system is based on profit. It is not based on, let's give Johnny and Cindy the best food we can possibly get them at a reasonable price. We are paying so little for our food because it is subsidized, because it can be quantified. I'm fortunate I have a garden so I can actually supplement what I eat, but not everybody's so fortunate, and price is huge. I mean, I've had people tell me, we would pay more, but when it comes down to it, when you're trying to fill up your car or, buy food that is so terribly inexpensive, we're used to it. So we need to kind of work our way back up to high quality, high nutrition dense food, and it will become the norm again.
In Europe, the average person spends, I think, 30 to 45% on their food costs. In the United States, about 7 to 12% on their food costs. And in the United States, I think we're really used to paying a low amount of money for food because we are used to such mass industrial farms. Sometimes I feel like the Hmong charge a really low amount, and I wish that they would charge more money because they work really, really hard. But they charge like $1 for like these leeks, and I know that those leeks took a long time to grow and a long time to clean and to process and to clip all down and make it look all pretty. They don't come out of the ground like that. We just try to charge what we think it's worth. We don't really know what we get paid per hour. I wish that we could somehow have stopwatches for every single crop. We're like, okay, we spent 27 minutes cultivating the lettuce and we spent 42 minutes seeding it and we spent this much time, and we could like have a chart on knowing how much time it took for every single vegetable to grow. And then we could do a calculation on how much money it takes. And so I feel like Americans are really used to just not spending a lot, but if we want better quality food, we need to pay a little bit more.
Through growing a lot of food and through being able to go into the community, my knowledge of where food comes from and how food affects me has become so deep, and having an understanding of the work that goes into it. I totally appreciate garlic. I never knew how much work goes into a little clove of garlic, and I'm willing to pay top dollar for it because I know that farmers devote their time and their love into creating that food for me, and so it's worth it.
I think the average person can do a great deal to make an impact on their food independence by choosing food for themselves that's in season, that is produced as locally as possible, and that may have a blemish or two, because those are the ones most likely to be organic, and ours essentially is the first generation that is able to eat just about anything from just about anywhere at just about any time. And we've come to regard this as normal, when in fact it's abnormal from the vast majority of our species' history on this planet. And even by doing so incrementally, we can change. And if we're truly going to get past a variety of the problems that we face, and food is an excellent way to take a look at that variety. And it's agriculture because culture is intimately involved with food production. Not only are we what we eat, but we are how we make what we eat. So the local food movement is a way of saying essentially, no, we prefer to eat what we grow or what people we know have grown for us.
You go out and you work in the garden, and there's lots of trial and error, but it's all very doable, and it's so simple. It is something anybody can do. You may not feel like you can, but it is really not that difficult. You can grow in a pot. You can grow in anything. You can grow in hay bales. It gives you the most satisfying results you can possibly get is growing something, whether it is for food or not. Nature never ceases to amaze and will always reward you.
I choose to grow food because I like the idea of not only giving the food away, but also inviting the hungry, so to speak, to be involved and participate in the effort of growing. And so I like having the opportunity to say hello to my neighbors as they come by, and to work with people in the garden is a big joy for me too.
I think it's really important for people at all ages to be able to get their hands dirty, and so that people can really grow the confidence that they are good gardeners, and to get access to really fresh, healthy food. And I think it's really important for all of us to be connected to the land and to our food because it's so important.
When the lease expires, this place, 1525 Dayton Road, could really leave a legacy behind, and people really congregate over food. And so could Grub exist somewhere else? And I think that it's like we're mentors in the community, and there are leaders everywhere. So it's totally possible anywhere.